Next quotes are on the management of Jose Mourinho and the club's decision to try and change their identity. And he says, yes, he's a great man. If you are open to improve, to learn, it's great to have him on your side. The only question that everyone asks is when the club decided to split with Maurizio, we had a proper football style. The club decided to change and try and win by appointing Mourinho. All the comments about Maurizio were the same. Oh yeah, his team play amazing football, but they've never won. So obviously, Daniel and the board decided to bring someone that can help the club to win. You cannot reapproach anything about that. Even if I felt the departure of Maurizio was really hard. So, I mean, I felt like this at the time when Maurizio got sacked. I thought it was ludicrous to bring in Mourinho. Obviously, when Mourinho came in, I quickly jumped on the bandwagon. But I thought it was absolutely ludicrous at the time. Do you remember, Sim, when we did that that video when Maurizio got sacked? We were nearly in tears. Both in complete disagreement that Maurizio should have been sacked. I think at the time you wanted Mourinho to come in. You wanted him as next manager. I wanted Ten Hag as the next manager. So I think it both says that we were both probably wrong in our assessment.
No, but he's saying you couldn't argue with it, isn't he?
He's saying
last line.
that, but I'm saying we should be arguing with it because you need to stay on the same path.
Yeah,
I'm saying he's wrong.
Yeah, I agree. And I know it fell apart from Maurizio in his last season. And it was, it was a time where maybe you have to, double down on him and give him time to figure things out, or you go in a different direction. I understood at the time, having sacked Maurizio and going in that Mourinho direction where you've got clearly a good set of players who had gone so close and hadn't quite made it, just got to a Champions League final. Can Mourinho get something out of them where they can go over the line? But it was the wrong direction, and you could see that the fans weren't happy with how we were playing. I think the players bought into it for a bit, but as soon as things went against them, I don't know if they stopped buying into it, or Mourinho got frustrated, or what happened. But that also fell apart. And I think when you have a manager like Mourinho who basically needs certain specific kind of things in the transfer market to get his approach to work. How Postecoglou was talking about, when you talk about leadership and all that stuff, either you let it grow in the team or you buy it. He's always buying it, buy this, buy that. He doesn't let anything grow in the team. He's always about buying everything in. And the way we were spending money at that time, I don't think was ever going to work for a manager like Mourinho.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to buy it in with like Højbjerg. Højbjerg came in under, wasn't he his first signing? Matt Doherty,
exactly.
I mean, our transfer policy under Mourinho was shocking.
Yeah, we bought Bale in, but he was still a 33-year-old Bale. And, you're giving him players like Ndombele who, wouldn't do what Mourinho needed him to do, albeit his best period was probably under Mourinho, but still, if Mourinho's the kind of manager who you get in because you want to win trophies, we're not getting him in to get top four. And I don't think he was ever given the tools to ever seriously compete for trophies.
I think it's interesting as well, like, you hear a lot of the players talk that were working under Mourinho at Spurs. A lot of them speak about it quite fondly, about how they actually got on really well with Jose and how he's a really good manager and how they enjoyed working under him. I mean, why did it go so sour with him?
Well, I think a lot of it was, like you said, when the announcement came that Poch was gone, I was devastated. I was uncontrollably fuming, upset, devastated. I remember that moment. Then obviously Jose came in. And for me, straight away when Jose was coming in, it was like, right, the trophy drought's going to go. But it was obviously a complete vanity project because he wanted him for so long. And like Simeon said, Daniel Levy knew his MO. It's come in, spend hundreds of millions, win everything, turn it toxic, off you go. That's never going to happen, ever. But the players would have identified there's a proven winner, isn't it? When they see a man walk through the door that has literally won the lot, they're like, this guy's going to do wonders for my career. And you said we're going to speak about the documentary. You saw the meetings he had with them all saying, this is what I'm going to do for you, this is what I need. And it's just like the players didn't want to get with it, did it? We didn't buy the calibre of players. He's so demanding of everything. And we bought the players that wouldn't do what was asked.
I just think... I'm sure he was a good manager. I'm sure the players did like him. I'm sure he tried his best. But at the end of the day, the team just wasn't very good. It had a lot of aging players. The back line was nowhere near good enough at the time. We didn't really invest anywhere near enough in the back line when we had him as manager. A lot of the players who were good under Pochettino had started to age and started not to be good enough as well. And look, we needed a rebuild. I mean, he never really got that. He got given Matt Doherty, as you say, and got given Roden, and Reguilon was signed, but he wasn't terrible, but still wasn't like a top player. We still had Sanchez and Dyer playing centre back every game, and an aging
Reguilon,
Toby.
when we signed him, was a major coup.
Yeah, I'm not saying he was. I don't think Reguilon I'll point to specifically, but obviously in hindsight, he's not like the best left back in the league. But I think it's whatever. Reguilon is not the worst deal. But then Højbjerg, he was good at Southampton and not a bad player for us, but he's never going to be the general that's going to win you a league, and all these. Delhi had completely fallen off a cliff at that time as well. Mora wasn't good enough really at that point.
He probably had his best moment under Jose, and then 10 in those few games.
Yeah,
yeah, he was good, but he was never great. He was never consistently brilliant. So
the Mora sexual fan club got born.
Yeah, I didn't mind Mora as a player. I'm just saying, you can't. I don't think he was ever consistently good enough to be where Mourinho wanted him to be. So with that squad he was given, it was never going to be more than a good achievement to finish top 4, let alone win a trophy. And Mourinho doesn't like that.
Do you feel like Jose got the best out of Son and Kane?
Yeah, those two he did, because they're elite players with elite mentalities.
Do you reckon their best seasons for Spurs came under Jose?
Combined together, I think
together for sure, but individually,
I think they've had better.
Together for sure. There's no question about that.
I think Son's best season was the Golden Boot he got under Conte. But Kane's best season, when he won the Golden Boot and best playmaker, that was probably his best season. Yeah.
And obviously, I think it's safe to say that maybe looking back at it, saying everything that you're saying, maybe it wasn't Jose's fault that he did fail at Spurs, and it was the hierarchy for not giving him what he actually needed at the club at the time. That's the reality.
Yeah, I think 100%.
Yeah,
we were very critical of the hierarchy at that point, of how they were dealing with Mourinho for sure, and I think they got a lot to answer for. If you're going to appoint a manager like Mourinho, you have to operate in a different way. Now you can operate how, let's say, for example, how we're doing now. We don't have a manager like Mourinho. It's not the goal. The goal isn't to win straight away and be challenging for league titles straight away. So you can afford to operate with younger players and all this kind of stuff. But if you've got a manager like Mourinho, you have to operate you have to keep pace with the top clubs.
Correct.
That's how you got to do it. And if you don't do that, then a manager like Mourinho is going to get frustrated. The fans are going to get frustrated with all the terrible football with players who aren't good enough to play it, and it's going to be a disaster, and that's what it turned out.
You know what? I'm just to add to that as well. What I think we saw there, even with Arsenal and the filth with Arteta, is a lot of the aggravation and unhappiness amongst our set of fans and their set of fans with the manager or the way they're playing was during COVID. So all the games were behind closed doors. If those doors had been open, obviously Arteta out was going nuts at that time. If it was in the stands, would Arteta have paid for his job because of the crowd reaction and the way the team were performing? And again, you could say that with Jose, because we were getting very, very fed up with the way that we were playing football and the quality there. Would the crowd have made a bigger impact into what would have happened with them too?
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the sacking of Jose Mourinho, and I think I was calling for it at the time. It's the timing. You cannot sack the man a few days before a cup final. That was a total disgrace from this football. It really was. Glenn Hoddle was talking about it on the Overlap, I think, not long ago, and he was saying, that was one of the biggest mistakes Daniel Levy and Tottenham have done over the past couple of years. And I completely agree, man. How can you bring in a manager for his sole purpose is to win a trophy and then sack him 6 days before a cup final? And then give it to Ryan Mason to face against Pep Guardiola, albeit he did fairly well for his, for his experience. But Jose had a real shot of winning that, a real shot. And
there was a stat,
disgrace,
wasn't there?
Man.
There was a stat, wasn't there, that was shown before that. Before then, Pep had won every single final he'd played in except for one, and that one manager to beat him,
Jose.
Yeah,
and we'd already beaten City before in that season as well, like it already happened. So, it was ridiculous that the timing. I was calling for him to be sacked after Zagreb. It didn't happen. Whatever.
How long was there between Zagreb?
I don't know. I don't know how long there was, but
do you remember what month Zagreb was in?
I think February, wasn't it?
It must have been the same month then.
No, because the Carabao Cup final got pushed like April or something.
Oh yeah,
got pushed really far forward. So I was calling for him to be sacked after that, because after Zagreb I didn't see any path forward for him after that, but they kept with him, maybe because they felt like he was still close enough to top four to get it, and then they kept with him up until the bloody week of the final, and then they sack him, and that is just nonsense and unforgivable from the board. I don't understand the logic there.
Yeah, there is no logic.
Yeah.
There is no logic at all.